Well, Misha, it's really terrific to have you here on Explorations, and I must let our viewers know that we collaborate because I'm on the board of PCI Media. But I am so excited to have you here and to be talking about a powerful way stories are being used to really transform the world. So welcome.
Thank you for having me, Rick. I'm so excited to be here with you.
Oh, good, good. I thought where we would start today is actually going back to the beginning. And there's a terrific story about a soap opera that actually informed the thinking that actually is that's used in the methodology. Could you tell us a little bit about that story?
Oh, it would be my pleasure. The beginning is a great place to begin. So in 1969, a soap opera, a telenovela, as they are called in Latin America, went viral, as we would call it today. And that telenovela is called Simplemente Maria. You would be interested to know, Rick, that since there has been a reboot of Simplemente Maria, so it's so popular, it's even been brought back recently. And the story of Simplemente Maria is a story of a simple girl named Maria who grew up in a rural community in Peru, moved to the city looking for better opportunity for herself so that she could send back resources to her family. She found work as a domestic worker in the home of a wealthy family. And of course, in a great soap opera, there's always a love story, struck up a romance with this family's eldest son. Maria became pregnant. The eldest son was the father. And of course, the family was scandalized. Maria was fired, thrown out from the house into the street. No family, no resource, a very bleak future. So what happens to Maria next? And here we see there's this pivotal point in Maria's life where she could either end up in a life of destitution, which in many soap operas and morality plays happened to young women that found themselves in Maria's situation. But this Maria was different. She took literacy classes, bought a sewing machine, and started sewing clothes and designing her own clothing while she went to school. Maria goes on to be a world-class designer, marries her literacy teacher, and lives happily ever after. So, this story, it's nice. It has a happy ending. It's a great fairy tale. But what makes this so intriguing is the audience reaction to Maria's story. During the time that this soap opera aired, from 1969 to 1971, the rates of enrollment in literacy classes across Latin America as the soap opera traveled from country to country, becoming more popular, skyrocketed. Governments could not keep up with the demand. Like, why are all of these people, women in particular, signing up for literacy classes? Singer sewing machine sales skyrocketed, right? Again, what is creating this increase in demand? And the part of the story that I always find most endearing and exciting is during the scene where Maria and her literacy teacher got married, Rick, 90,000 people showed up to this fictional wedding with gifts to bless Maria's union and thank her for influencing their lives. So this story captured the imagination of people and really caused them to behave differently.
Wow. So, and I think that they had to rent a soccer stadium. Let people file through. I mean,
Yeah.
what are we going to do with all these people? So they rented a soccer stadium, and the actors. I mean, what's interesting also about that is that the fine line between real and fiction just got erased.
Completely.
For people, this was an important part of their lives, and they were involved in Maria's life.
Yes. And Maria was influencing their lives, right? So it was this, we all understand story as escapism, right? But this was story as empowerment, right? Story as unleashing the imagination to see a different way. to really relate to this character and think, if Maria can do it, I can do it too. So much so that the people were experiencing changes in their own lives that drove them, as you say, to go and pay homage, basically, to this fictional character. And they did have to halt filming because people demanded that they be able to thank Maria and bless her with their gifts as they would at a traditional wedding. So there was a producer, Miguel Sabido, who was working at Telemundo at the time. Very powerful producer. Miguel was known for his hit shows. Anything Miguel touched turned to gold. And as you can imagine, Miguel was very interested in what else was being successful, especially if he didn't have anything to do with it. So he sees Simplemente Maria taking over the Latin American airwaves. And he is so intrigued about the impact that this story is having. So Miguel decides that he is going to analyze this show that's already been taped, already been aired, frame by frame. He's going to analyze it. So he does, to really figure out what made this story work differently than other stories. And Rick, I don't know if you know this, but I am a student of literature, 19th century American melodrama, actually.
I did not know that about you. Now I have a whole other thing we have to talk about.
And it's a very interesting science, because typically melodrama, which Simplemente Maria falls into this category, is a great mechanism for maintaining the status quo, right?
Ah, interesting.
Mm-hmm. And there are all of these studies on it, and it's a fascinating thing to really dig into. But so I understand why Miguel went into frame by frame to analyze, because typically soap operas, popular media, only will take us so far away from our lived experience. And so to see this same form used in a way, or to have the impact of really crashing people's, glass ceiling, if you will, or invisible barrier to a different future, was quite intriguing to Miguel. And I completely understand why. So he analyzes it. And what he figures out is there is a different character mix in Simplemente Maria than there is in a traditional soap opera. So we all understand in a soap opera, there is a villain and a hero or a heroine. And these two great forces interact, and hopefully good wins over evil, and the story goes on happily ever after. The other thing that we don't really notice, though, that sometimes is quite invisible in traditional soap operas or melodramas, is that characters that stray too far away from the status quo are punished, either by death or destitution. So if we go back to Maria's story, this is one of the reasons why, and the reasons for this is that audiences are typically more accepting of these sort of social consequences, right?
Mm.
So this is why a woman in Maria's situation, we would expect in a traditional soap opera that she would be punished for her bad behavior and end up in a life of poverty, right? So it was quite revolutionary that Maria was able to forge this new path. And Miguel deemed Maria what has come to be known in entertainment education, which is the type of storytelling that really grew out of Miguel's analysis of Simplemente Maria, as a transitional character. And this is a new type of character in the melodrama that really creates the space for change. So you still have your villain, which in this case is the sun, in Maria's story is the sun. You still have your hero, which is in Simplemente Maria, the literacy teacher. But then you have Maria, who is the transitional character who isn't punished for her mistakes, but instead has the opportunity to learn and to grow and to change.
And she has agency in this story. She has the power. She makes choices
Yes,
that lead to better outcomes in her life. And,
yes,
and that's modeled through the story in a very powerful way, isn't it?
exactly.
Yeah.
Mhm.